Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us for episode 51 of Taking Control. Taking Control is, of course, our weekly web series here, presented by OneSEO, where we talk about all things IT and digital marketing. I'm Anthony Kane, an SEO strategist here at OneSEO, and I'm joined by CJ Bachman.
Hi, everybody.
Who will be a perfect guest for this week's episode, because this week we're talking all things branding. So, CJ, thank you for joining us this week.
Absolutely. Glad to be here, as always.
Yes. Also, you're here one episode before our big 1 year shebang. I don't know. It's gonna be a great episode next week, but 51 is pretty exciting as well.
51 is good. 51 is good.
Also, since you're here, CJ, you've been with OneSEO longer than I have, so I like to kind of get people's perspective on the fact that, of course, we are hiring for both the digital marketing side and the IT side, SEO, PPC, email marketing, content, social media, IT, desktop support technicians, pretty much sales, like the whole gambit. Everyone, feel free to check us out at oneseo.com/careers for more information. But of course, I always like to get people's perspective. You know, do you like the culture a lot? Sort of the family mentality? What are sort of your favorite pieces about working at OneSEO?
Yeah, so I've had the great opportunity being able to work so closely with the culture and what we've been able to create. And I think that the family aspect is definitely part of what adds to the culture that we have here. The other thing is the growth, being able to be a part of something that moves so fast and moves so quickly and in such a ever-changing space. So it's not just, coming in and having a job and kind of punching in and punching out, but it's actually being able to give people the opportunity to build a career. So we have interns. My 15-year-old son is actually interning here this summer. He was doing 404 redirects yesterday. So there are opportunities that people can actually learn about aspects of digital marketing that they didn't even know existed. So I think the culture is great, but the opportunity that kind of exists for past, just a good culture is a big piece of that pie.
Yeah, no, definitely. And when I say we have a lot of positions, I really do mean that. If you're someone that likes to get really analytical, or you're someone that likes to be more creative, we've got a ton of positions, I think, available that kind of cater to a ton of different personality styles and people's interests. So definitely check it out, oneseo.com/careers again, to see if you'd be a good fit at the OneSEO family. So. But thank you, CJ.
Absolutely.
Some people will say haircuts, basketball court, but it's
haircuts.
Nice to hear the growth, the more serious. Yeah,
absolutely. Yep.
Definitely.
If you're organized and really enjoy speaking with clients and kind of working with them, there's client relations. I don't know if you mentioned that one as well. Sales is another one too, that as we continue to grow and expand the company, we definitely have to look there. So thanks for giving everybody a reminder.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mentioned before, this week's sort of core topic is going to be all about branding. But before CJ and I get into all of that, we're actually going to pass it over to a very special, technologically speaking, with this week, our president of IT, Scott Fcasni. So Scott, please take it away.
Welcome back to this week's episode of Technologically Speaking. We're here at the PPAI Expo in Atlantic City, New Jersey, where we just got done speaking about the importance of cybersecurity and keeping your business safe and secure. I want to talk a little bit about phishing. You know what? Phishing isn't exactly what you think. It's not going out to your local pond and trying to catch fish. Phishing in terms of technology is when you find hackers or people that are looking to compromise your network sending out emails pretending to be people that they're not with the purpose of getting your password. They might send you a link from Microsoft pretending to be Microsoft, or pretending to be Dropbox, or pretending to be Google. When you click on that link, you're not actually going to Microsoft's website, you're going to another website, and that other website is going to store the password attempts that you keep trying to type in, thinking that you're logging into your real account. So we just wanted to remind you, make sure that all the emails that you get are actually coming from the person that sent it to you. Take the time to make sure, if your email is coming from Scott Fcasni, that it's coming from a domain name that you trust, not 123banana@aol.com. All right, we'll catch you next week on Technologically Speaking.
Hey guys, I'm Sarah. I'm the lead designer here at OneSEO, and this is our whiteboard session today. So I am joined by the wonderful Rachel, and she is going to guess logos while I explain to you guys the importance of having a mark in your logo. Ready, Rachel?
I'm so excited.
Yep. Okay. So when you're creating a logo, it's always important to include both typography and a mark. The mark is really what's going to be the lasting part of your logo. it may evolve over time. If you look at the Girl Scouts or Pepsi, they change their logos every decade or so, but it's really a lasting piece that really defines their brand. So if you're creating a new business or rebranding your company, make sure that you're making a mark on your logo that's going to really express your company, yourself, and what you do. Those are going to be the most important factors to having a lasting mark and logo, such as some of these companies that are iconic. As you can see, Rachel's already gotten through quite a few of them.
Wait,
Do you want any hints?
this is a toy store.
This is a toy
children's
store.
toys. It's green. And I want to say Harborough, but they make the gummy bears.
You're so close.
They make gummy bears.
S instead of an R.
Hasbro?
Hasbro.
Oh. Okay. I was going to say Toshiba. Is this red?
Pink cameras. It is red.
Is it Nikon?
It's Kodak.
Aw.
You were so close though. You knew it was red.
I didn't get that one right.
And this is technology and video.
You're kidding, right?
Dylan thought it was Star Wars,
I would have said the same thing.
but it's actually Sega.
Oh. Okay, so what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So you got 10 out of 11.
6. Yeah, 7.
Well, 9 out of 11.
9 out of 10. Vic, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. All the rest of them.
No, this is wrong.
Disregard.
Disregard.
This is why they don't let us do videos together.
That's LG.
You can see, even in black and white, these logos stand on their own. You don't need to see the company name. They make their own presence known. And that's what you need for your logo when you're making a new one. So, I think we're done here.
This is fun.
Please play along, see if you can guess more than Rachel. All right, Rachel, I think you have to go meet BJ now.
Oh yeah, welcome to another exciting episode of the Digital Buzz. I'm BJ, this is Rachel, first up on the list.
So Instagram is adding shopping tags to their stories. BJ, have you seen these before?
I have not.
Well, are you a shopper?
I'm not an avid Instagram user.
Okay, clearly not as much of a shopper as I am. So, for all of you fashionistas, shopaholics out there, Instagram incorporated the shopping tags in an organic post. So, I love Francesca's. I shop at Francesca's all the time. They have a dress that I love, that I want. If I go to their Instagram and they have a picture, click on the picture, pops up the price, and then it sends you to their website. What Instagram did now is took that theory and threw it right up into the story. So if I'm swiping, seeing the concerts my friends went to, seeing all my friends' pictures at the beach, and then all of a sudden, Francesca shoots me with the story, with the dress that I want. All I have to do is click on the story, it sends me to their website, and then check out. So shopping made easy.
I might not be a savvy Instagram user, but marketing clear as day. They're getting rid of the extra clicks it's necessary to get in front of the product. So why would that not be a win for anyone marketing on Instagram?
Absolutely, and this is also just big snaps for brands like this utilizing social. Using social not to just represent their brand and create a reach, but really to start that lead generation and start those conversions from any platform, not just their website.
Next up on the list, Google's adding what's in store to the Knowledge Panel, Google Maps, and to Google My Business. This is going to tell you what's in store, quote unquote, as far as when it comes to shopping there. If you're looking for a specific product, is it in stock at the location you're looking to go? This is actually kind of cool because it seems like, now that you think about it, we've been long overdue for something like this.
Oh, absolutely.
But people are looking for directions, looking to go places, and Google's hitting all the apps and all this places people go to get directions.
Food for thought, this is also free for all companies. So if you want to add in that what's in store spotlight to your Google Shopping or to your Knowledge Panel, do it. Take advantage of it. There is no reason why you shouldn't share your consumers what products you have in your inventory. Faster checkout, faster conversion. Happy Rachel because she probably bought new shoes or skirt.
She gets it.
Or purse.
Last one on the list today, guys. Domino's is going around fixing potholes? What?
The best story though. This is my favorite of this week.
Listen, everybody loves pizza.
I love pizza.
If you don't, there's something wrong with you. But to that matter, Domino's has been reinventing themselves lately. They redid all their stores, they told you about it through the commercials. They gave you carry-out insurance, because it's crazy, but they're not losing too much money off of it, it just makes you peace of mind. It's something extra, right? Well, now they're going around to places in Texas, Georgia, Delaware. Identifying potholes, filling them in free of charge with their own crew, and they're spray painting the Domino's logo on it and saying, "Oh yes, we did." This is everyday marketing at its finest.
Brilliant. Brilliant move by Domino's. Brilliant. That's
They're
it.
taking something of everyday, or an everyday issue, if you will, and they're addressing it and bringing attention back to them. It's crazy, it's out of left field, but mark my words, it's gonna do wonders for them.
Absolutely. I am actually very interested to see just how their revenue goes. If this works for branding, if this works just for customers. Also, every time I see one, I'm gonna think pizza. So, conversion, please. Go and buy pizza.
All right, guys, those are your top 3 for the Digital Buzz this week. We look forward to seeing you next week, right here on the Digital Buzz.
See ya.
Alrighty, thank you, Rachel and BJ. Love the energy this week, and the Domino's Road crew. If you are watching, which I know you are, hit up State Road in Croydon, Pennsylvania.
Or Bristol.
We've got a few, or Bristol. We've got a few potholes of our own right outside of our parking lot. actually.
Absolutely.
So
Quite a few.
we're looking forward to seeing your logo on Radcliffe Street. Anyway, CJ, we are here to sort of round out this week's episode on branding. I think, basically how I wanted to start it, because from my perspective, obviously, like as a kid and just growing up, you always sort of pay attention to logos. Those are usually what stick, and Sarah did a great job on the whiteboard this week to go over logos. Those are certainly what sticks, but I think now, just with the rise of technology, the rise of the way that we use the internet, or the way that consumers have access to the internet, I think it's sort of changed the game for how companies and brands in general have to think about things or portray themselves. The example that you and I were talking about earlier today was just the Chipotle thing with obviously E. coli is a pretty big thing. And then that's coming up in the food, that's a big concern, but just how fast news like that can spread now about a brand. And when you hear now, if you're eating lunch with people, all of a sudden, Chipotle just comes up because everyone's got access to Twitter or Instagram and they see it within 10 minutes. But I think, it even stems further than that. It doesn't necessarily have to be a news outlet that can have an impact on someone's brand. It could be you and I. Like if we went to a restaurant and all of a sudden, something was in our food or it didn't look right, within minutes, if we wanted to, we could post a picture that reaches, thousands of people, whether that's on our social media or on a platform like Reddit or something like that. You can do some serious damage to a brand. So I think just wanted to kind of get your perspective on how brands need to sort of change the way they monitor their own brand and sort of be proactive, I guess, with how things can get portrayed on the internet.
But I think something that companies like Chipotle do really well, and some of these large brands, is that they've learned that their brand isn't just their pretty picture, it isn't just their recognizable logo, but it's also the investment that their consumers, their customers have into that organization. So I personally am not a Chipotle person, but I have a lot of people who are, and it didn't take very long for Chipotle to recover. They've created that sense of investment that people feel that they need that Chipotle in their life. So I think as companies are really looking at their branding, they also have to think about how can I protect this brand, but how can I make my consumers want to protect it for me? So it's not just about, okay, there was this one negative experience. It's how am I going to then help people know that, okay, this experience happened. Here's what we've done to correct that situation and then kind of move forward. And Chipotle did a nice job. But I think if we take it even a step further, we look at companies that have been around for a long time. I was just down in Florida. With family, we did the whole SeaWorld thing. Nice. I thought I was going down and I wasn't going to get to see Shamu. I told people, yeah, I'm going to SeaWorld, it'll be great, but I know they had issues with the orcas and they're not going to be there. I was completely wrong and they were there, so that was exciting. My 2-year-old had a great time. But what changed about the SeaWorld experience was everything became as educational. So it was all about the conservation efforts that they're in. Every show, from the Shamu show to the sea lions to the dolphins and the birds, everything was very educational and was pushing the conservations that they're making, not just in water, but on land as well. So that was something that was really cool to see SeaWorld say, okay, listen, we had all of this negative energy around us, and now that has been completely changed. Yeah, no, I think that's two awesome points I think you mentioned. One was just the brand or the company being able to sort of pivot, like you mentioned, based on, recent findings or whatever might have come about. Like, obviously, they want to show that they are pivoting towards the conservation and the education and everything like that. But then also, you mentioned with Chipotle, just brands being able to sort of live through or carry on through an issue or a crisis or whatever it might have been, just because of all the good things that they have done in the past, all the great customer experiences that people have had, they're willing to now
look past it or continue to go back or whatever it might be. Like people are still going to eat Chipotle even though, you know, something like this came about, or people are still going to go to SeaWorld or wherever it might be.
Well, think about like cereal. And when people say cereal, most people I'm in front of, the first thing that comes to their mind is Frosted Flakes. What would Kellogg have to do to make you stop eating Frosted Flakes? They've created such a brand for themselves, and you have all of these small companies that have cereal and it's supposed to be equivalent and everything, but you're so invested in that. I feel like I'm cheating on Frosted Flakes if I don't buy Frosted Flakes.
You basically are.
Yeah.
No, but that's a great point. And like when you look at sort of companies like like the Frosted Flakes, it's a perfect example because you can go anywhere and get them for half the price pretty much. But, you know, it's just they've done such a great job and it's just so engraved in everyone's brains that that's the brand that we turn to, or that's the brand that we know, that we're familiar with, so that's the one we're comfortable with.
Yep,
so
and they haven't been afraid to change. If we look at most companies, we pick a brand and then you have to be able to evolve it. So if you look at Tony the Tiger, or even we were talking about Pepsi and Coca-Cola and changing their logo just slightly all the time and then switching back to throwbacks and all of that. They're not afraid to do that because people aren't invested in just that image. They're invested in that company. So I think that that's part of what even small companies have to think about when they're branding, is that side of it, is how can we take something as a step further than just that image online? How do we protect it? How do we get people invested in it? Domino's, that was a great example with doing the road crew. Yeah. But local heating and air conditioning companies have been doing this for a really long time with community charities and sponsoring, soccer teams and things like that. They're getting invested in the community so that the community gets invested in them. So whether that's local or online, that's really how these large companies and small companies are protecting their brand and building it. Yeah, no, I think that's a great point as well. And you mentioned, Pepsi or Coke or whoever it might be sort of tweaking things every now and then to kind of like just keep things fresh or whatever sort of the thought process is there. But I think that's a great sort of segue into companies that have either rebranded or that are thinking about rebranding. It's always been a big undertaking. Even 50 years ago, you still had print material, you still had people who are familiar with your brand. But I think in 2018, I think it does take it a step further. It is that much bigger of a process now to want to rebrand, because you have to think about where you are not only within print material, you might be in flyers or on billboards or whatever it might be. Like, sure, you have to update all of that, but you also have to think of where you could have stemmed out to online. And I think a lot of that, it becomes a lot trickier because you don't really know. Like you could be listed on all these citations that you've never built, that just have companies, you've been a company that's been listed on these citations for one way or another, or for one reason or another. And I think if you're a company that's looking to rebrand, you certainly have to take a long look at it because and understand that it is going to be a process for people to a lot of working parts.
And of course you'll have people that are right there that'll that are really familiar with your brand that will recognize it right away. But you're always going to have people who there's going to be a learning curve, I think. So I think it's a big undertaking. Yeah,
I definitely think people have to kind of take everything into consideration, like you mentioned, things that are happening online, things that are happening offline, from citations on the link building side of things to content that may be out there in print, or even a content off your site online that exists. But I also, from my standpoint, and you know me, I'm an operational kind of person, people can't be afraid to rebrand because there are competitors that are constantly out there. And another example is, and please nobody hate me, I'm a Yeti person. If you're a Yeti person, put a comment below, let me know. I love Yeti. But when I was at SeaWorld, I found this lovely thing, which is a Tervis tumbler for everyone to see.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored, not at all. But it had flamingos on it, and I love flamingos, and I was so excited. So I bought it simply for the flamingos. Tervis has done a great job with creating designs by Tervis and really kind of getting out there, because companies like Yeti were really hitting it hard. And I'm sad to say, I'm still a Yeti person, because Yeti, my eyes last for 2 hours, and Tervis not so much.
Right.
But still a really cool experience. But kudos to Tervis for really going out there and doing something completely different, really stepping outside of what made them, Tervis and so successful in the beginning. They know that they have these competitors out there like Yeti, and they had to really completely change. And I know there's some Tervis people out there that might be a little upset, but
sure, you just have to carve out a little bit and stick a Yeti in the Tervis.
There you go, absolutely.
And is this what Caden she calls them pink mingos?
Pink mingos,
yep.
yeah. My 2-year-old calls them pink mingos, so yeah, she loves them.
Awesome. No, but that is another great example as well. And I completely agree. I'm actually a huge fan of companies that want to sort of not repurpose themselves, but to take a step back and say, like, okay, how can we keep up with the times? Or, there's a brand that might not have changed for 75 years, so I think it's important to kind of take a step back and realize that you have the opportunity or you have the option to sort of reinvent yourself.
We're used to it, you and I,
Sure.
because we constantly have to evolve and change, especially in this space.
Absolutely.
But companies have to understand that what worked for them, 10 or 15 years ago might not necessarily work the same. So that's where branding comes into play. Building it, protecting it, and then making sure that you're changing as necessary.
Definitely. Well, CJ, this has been great. Before we sign off, I do want to throw out one last little liner there in case anybody wants to. We've already got a bunch of things in store for our big 1 year, episode 52 next week. But if there's anything in particular that you guys want us to cover or that you would like to see, please let us know in the comments, and we will be sure to consider that as we get ready to film our big 52 episode, which is hard to believe that we've gone a whole
Your
year of.
brainchild. Wow.
It's been a while. But CJ, thank you so much for coming on. And everybody, we will see you guys next Thursday. So.
Later.